At least your mother tipped well.
بني مع اللون الأصفر.
Welcome, one and all, to the USC podcast number 12. I'm back, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Edmund, the Count of the United Space Confederation.
I am Ogie the Great, Executive Officer of TRACOM, one of the envoys to EdmondDante's Council of Diplomats, and also your Hanson bootlicking lackey and co-host.
My name is Prime, USC's favourite Australian and rightful heir to Hawaii.
And I'm NF Hanson, your gracious podcast host. I'm also the Executive Officer of Fleet Command of the USCDF, and I'm also the Deputy Ambassador for the USC Ministry of Outreach and Diplomacy, or Diplomacy and Outreach. My bad. First off, I know I missed last week. That was my bad. Or last recording, not last week. But first on our list was the Star Citizen PAX East presentation and its contents.
I thought it was pretty flippin' cool. Granted, that's rather unsurprising because so much that comes out of CIG is really flippin' cool. But what did we see? We saw some FPS stuff. We saw a little bit of PlanetSide. We saw them actually playing the Zero-G Arena, which is I don't think there's any other game that has done Zero-G FPS, has there?
There's been games who've done like low gravity FPS, like Halo.
And maybe the Dead Space series.
There is currently, I believe it's in beta, a game entirely revolving around Zero-G space combat. It's a bit of a mess, but as I recall, it's either in alpha or beta currently, and I do not at all remember the name, but I have a friend who was playing it diehard for a while.
Yeah.
And also the first Crisis game had Zero-G in the last level, I believe.
Okay.
So it's not the first game to have Zero-G FPS, but it's the first game we actually care about.
Fair enough.
Crisis?
Crisis. Fuck you. Australia, alright?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Crisis is the only reason that game was made was so that people could benchmark GPUs and or melt their GPUs. But getting back to the PAX presentation, in addition to the FPS, to a little bit of PlanetSide, they also got a little jab in at EA, which I had a smile at over that.
Yeah, wasn't it
very
something like
hilarious.
I don't remember what it actually was though.
It was
I think it's something
electronic
access.
Yeah,
Electronic access has been brought up by Original Systems or something like that.
Something like that, which is the opposite of what happened IRL. Well, I mean, it's not like all of the conventional publishers aren't aware that Star Citizen is coming out swinging and not caring.
Oh, there seems to be a lot of skeptical people out there that think Star Citizen's just going to be a huge flop. And I can kind of see where they're coming from because there is a pretty big hype within the community about Star Citizen. And one thing I've known that if you have these high expectations for a game, a lot of times it falls short and you're disappointed.
The one major difference there being that with most of these games, the large hype machine is being generated by some nameless, faceless media group in charge of advertising and schemes and all that. And nobody really sees the game except for a couple of limited clips until they have it in their hands.
Well, I want to bring an example of the Halo series. The Halo series has a lot of prestige behind it, right? So, when they came up with Halo 4, there's a lot of hype behind Halo 4 because, hey, you know, they left a cliffhanger in Halo 3. They came out with Halo Reach, which kind of sucked. And now we want Halo 4. Halo 4 is they're gonna improve so much stuff. It's gonna be such a better story and everything else. And Halo 4 came out, and it just fell short of everybody's expectations. Like, I wasn't even around the whole advertising hype, and I was disappointed.
Well, the thing is, though, that honestly, that's not surprising because that's essentially what you get with a very conventional, with a conventional design and development process, especially for PC games. You have the marketing people hyping it up and being like, "Oh, this is the next coming of video game Jesus," for lack of a better term. But the developers are divorced from reality. They are divorced from their fans. Whereas there have been multiple times in the development of Star Citizen where they have shown something to the community and we have said, I don't know about that, and they've redone it. The example that springs to mind would be the HUD. Way back, it was like sometime like last year. They roll out their HUDs, and the community is like,
What the hell was that?
and the fact that CIG went back and redid their HUD approach, their HUD design, is massive. Because in a conventional game, we would have seen the HUDs only when we played. And then 4 years after development started, we'd be like, man, the HUDs kind of suck. There would have been no ability for the developer to change that. Whereas, again, with CIG, they show it to us, we as a community say, not so much. They redesign it. That is huge.
Well, I'm not saying that it's going to be a big flop. I'm just sitting here playing devil's advocate for them,
Right.
because I can see where they're coming from, because there have been games, and this happens a lot of times with games, even PC games, where you have either a brand new series or an established series that has this big hype around it, and then it ends up being a big flop. Like, the most recent one for me was probably the Arma 3 mod, the Eridani Insurgency, which is literally a Halo mod for Arma 3. And I mean, I was pretty hyped up about it, even though I kind of found out about it just as it was about to be released. And then I looked at it, I liked what they did, but it just wasn't all that they kind of made it to be, even though I had seen the videos and the pictures of it.
Agreed, but keep in mind, and this is very, very important, this extends far beyond just gaming industry when it comes to sales and marketing people. I'm sure you've worked at plenty of companies. I know I have, and others in this room who've worked at companies where a sales rep will try and sell something, and somebody at some point has to tell them that what they're trying to sell defies the laws of physics. Can't be done.
You know what you do for a living?
Not at the moment, but maybe if I get a promotion.
All right. I was just kind of looking at people's feedback to that PAX East presentation. Like I said, don't get me wrong, I still like the game and what they're doing with it, and I'm really excited for the first-person shooter PlanetSide aspect of it, because I'm not really much of a pilot. But let's move on to the South by Southwest video montage here. They had, I guess, a new trailer and some images from the PlanetSide module, right?
Absolutely stellar, spectacular visually, at least.
Yeah, it was all sorts of cool. Prime, what you got to say?
Gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside, as usual.
A freaking man. And I have to say that the South by Southwest trailer was one of the times when I really sat up and I said, this is some really good. And specifically the first and last portion, where it's the piano and orchestra and whatnot, it filled me with a warm fuzzy thing. It filled me with hope. It filled me with the desire to explore. It filled me with, the drive to be a hero. It's, one of those pieces of music that fundamentally touches you. And then thinking back a little bit more, the rest of the music that I can recall in Star Citizen in the trailers has been stellar. So I would like to give a shout out to Pedro here, and Pedro, the music guy for CIG, and I'm going to tell you guys that he has a Facebook page, Music by Pedro. But again, the music, I think, was just stellar and absolutely gave so much more to that trailer.
Well, then that's the really powerful impact that Star Citizen has on those of us who are fans. It's more than just visually speaking spectacular looking. It's in depth. It's the soundtrack just is phenomenal. I think I agree. All the music, all the sounds, everything's just been refined through decades and decades of sci-fi to the point where we're getting what we've dreamed about for so long.
And what about planet side images they showed? Like the taking off from I think it was ArcCorp through all of the
Right.
town.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Oh,
Mhm.
and like the ship dealership, you know, that was like, oh, makes me want to buy more ships in Star Citizen.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, that is an excellent point because like we've seen that stuff empty. We've seen it's like, oh, this is what we're thinking of, for Dumpers Depot. This is what we're thinking of for whatever they call the ship dealership. But then we saw it live. We saw it with people walking around. We saw it from the perspective of a person of a player coming in to buy stuff. So yeah, that makes it a lot more live.
Yeah, and we also saw images from I think it was QB Blast, which is the weapons store, and the I can't remember the bar name. I think it was it G Lock? I think it was.
I think it was
Like
yeah.
had that really rusty trucker feel. That's what I felt anyway.
Right.
And
That's where they displayed the HUD, correct?
I think it was
The Moby Glass.
Moby Glass, and that was in the weapons store, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I think overall it was a really good demonstration or presentation rather of kind of what we can expect for that planet side and some of the FPS aspects of it. I just like that we're now seeing these things and it's kind of now becoming a little bit more real.
I'd like to add something, just a little reminder to everybody who's really excited about the first-person shooter module, and that is the Astra Arena that was announced at PAX as well. That's supposed to be launching sometime in the beginning. Ender's Game style combat in full zero-G.
That's gonna be trippy.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It was a very interesting movie in this game, and I'm like really. It was very funny seeing how they made the map exactly from the Ender's Game movie.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
the thing about Ender's Game is that that's one of those books. I apologize. This is somewhat of a tangent, but still, Ender's Game is one of those books that is a sci-fi classic. It is, a very prominent influence for a lot of authors and a lot of readers too. And the thing is that, sure, the movie was cool, but I really think that Orson Scott Card should have said, no, we're not going to do a movie. We're going to do a, like an 8-part series or something like that, where they could really go deep into all the character development and into all the conflicts that you get. Because, I mean, I have some criticisms of the movie, but by and large, they did a very good job cramming as much as possible into like 2 hours. They just need more time.
Agreed. The stuff that they changed, the stuff that they omitted, it's all boiled down to they did the best they could in a movie format. But that book, I mean, it's not something that you could really fully grasp everything on your first read through it. And there's so much content and so much depth in there that trying to cram everything, all the events and all the nuances into a 2-hour movie, it's a little unrealistic of an expectation.
Yeah, the movie did feel a bit rushed, like they were just throwing information at you.
But still, you are very much right in that they did take it heavily from Ender's Game. But again, when you have something that is that titanic, that much of a colossus in science fiction, it isn't plagiarism, it's an homage, and everybody who has read that book will look at it and say, yeah, I know this.
Tell you what, we'll make a podcast series recreating Ender's Game in Star Citizen. How's that?
Can we make a human meat ship?
So I'm not gonna lie, I have absolutely no idea what you guys are talking about.
Alright, Hanson, I'm going
What?
to get you Ender's Game for your birthday.
Do it. It's like in like a week. Oh yeah.
Do it.
Real quick, guys. So yeah, as Ogie mentioned, my birthday's coming up soon. March 30th. I do accept gifts on Steam and everything. So just a little something. But yeah. I have no idea what that book is or what the movie is. I've actually never even heard of it before.
What?
Oh, that is blasphemy, sir.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You're definitely getting that book for your birthday.
And I'll read
defend
it.
Hanson a bit.
Hanson, if I may, this is really important. This book is the book about a little boy named Hanson who was raised by the military to drive an entire species to extinction, an entire alien species, and he does it. There you have it.
That's awesome. Is that little boy me?
I think so. I mean, they kept calling him Ender, but in my head, I was picturing you the entire time I was reading it.
I mean, I can't intend to be a genocidal maniac, so I mean.
It was to be. I don't want to spoil it. I might retain myself.
Just defend me.
He was tricked into it, type thing.
No, don't spoil things. Just let him read. You
I didn't want to say it, but he encouraged.
Hashtag spoiler alert.
I hate you all. Let's move on.
Yeah, well. Alright, now we had a list here about the Star Citizen universe ship manufacturers such as Drake Interplanetary, Roberts Space Industries, Anvil Aerospace, Origin Jump Systems.
This week we are covering Drake Interplanetary.
We are. And it's funny because I can start seeing this to be like the rivalry that people have with like car brands. It's like Chevrolet people hate Ford people who hate GM people who hate all the Japanese manufacturers. Well, really everybody kind of hates all of them. I hate them and I drive a fucking Nissan.
Dude, I love my Subaru.
Big thing in Australia, it's a Ford versus Holden thing. That was before Holden and I believe Ford were leaving the country, so now they've got other cars coming in. But anyway, before that, it was a big competition between Ford and Holden.
Do you know what Ford stands for?
No. Tell us, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Found on roadside dead.
I will
That's
agree on
blasphemy.
that.
I had a Ford pour me out of the mud this morning.
Did you get
Take
stuck?
that. Yeah, I got stuck in the mud. Oh, no.
Anyway, so Drake Interplanetary.
Proud manufacturers of the Cutlass.
You mean the gutless?
That's what most people call it. But then again, I'm an Anvil guy.
Dude, Anvil for
Fun
the
space
win.
piratey ship.
Anvil Aerospace, manufactured by Acme. What? Oh.
Yeah, but no, we'll get to sing the praises of Anvil at a later podcast. We're going to start with the lesser companies, like again Drake Planetary for this one.
All right. I'll get over to Drake, and I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah, but So I took a quick look through the established lore that we have, and it's interesting that the lore very much establishes that Drake is a money above all kind of company.
So that's the wiki.
Right.
Apparently, they're affiliated with criminal organizations.
Well, according to the lore, it's like, Drake rolled out with their Cutlass. They're selling it like hotcakes, and it's because that the Cutlass is supposedly so modular that pirates were just snatching it up left and right. Because, if you think about it, if you're on the fringes of the law, you're going to have to build your own platforms for various purposes. And a Cutlass will be able to do that, Sure, you minimize all the stuff in the hold, throw in a little extra armor, and now the Cutlass is, a premier fighter. You could take that same Cutlass, or take, the same model Cutlass, and easily enough turn it into a troop transporter, or transport over a prize crew or something along those lines. So from that point of view, it makes sense that pirates would gravitate towards an easily customizable platform.
One of the most important things to remember with the Cutlass is it's readily available. You can get it in any system, and as a pirate, you can't just go fly to any system. It's highly customizable for its relatively low cost by comparison to other ships that would do similar functions. And so, yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about landing on a planet and you're not going to ask for permission to take off again, or permission to land for that matter, your concerns are a little bit different as to where you're going to go to get your ships.
Yeah, indeed. But now, putting aside the Cutlass, what about the other two ships? The Caterpillar and the Herald.
Well, like I said, I was trying to touch on that. I don't know if that got in any, but the Caterpillar, like I had said, was a lot of people in the USCEC, which was the Expeditionary Corps, had displayed interest in using it for things such as search and rescue operations. I know Hefty is an example of a person, because once again, that's another modular, customizable ship suited for those types of operations.
And the funny thing is, it seems that in terms of the lore, it's like Drake makes ships with good intentions, and then they get immediately appropriated for bad intentions.
Well, when you find somebody you like and you like to do business with them, why not make them an offer they can't refuse and just force them to keep doing business with you.
Well, I know they have a list of like kind of like pros and cons of this caterpillar, and the downside is it's kind of slow, it's light in defensive capabilities, and apparently it attracts a lot of attention from I think I said advocate agents, cops, and mercenaries. Drake Interplanetary. It's like driving around a nice Escalade in a bad neighborhood.
Hey, I'm gonna point out though that Drake also released ambulance versions of the Cutlass, so obviously they have a humanitarian focus too.
Yeah, and the police.
Humanitarian.
Or they just want to save a little bit of face if they possibly can.
Publicity stunt.
And one of the other things that was covered in the lore is that it was at like the very bottom of the Drake Interplanetary write-up, is that when a spokesperson is confronted by someone who's like, rah, rah, Drake Planetary supports pirates, the spokesperson will be like, well, and we spent millions of dollars or millions of credits lobbying to make anti-piracy laws a lot more strict. But if the anti-piracy laws are a lot more strict, then the pirates will need to buy more cutlasses.
I like the Caterpillar's design. It's one of those few ships in Star Citizen that isn't perfectly symmetrical. I think the only ships that aren't symmetrical in Star Citizen's the Caterpillar, maybe the Herald, and the Vandal ships, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And the Orion.
I mean, Drake also makes. I mean, the Herald is apparently a very ugly asymmetrical ship.
Yeah, people, when they first saw the concept, they were all sorts of up in arms about how asymmetrical it was.
I'm less upset about it being asymmetrical so much as I'm upset about it being butt ugly, and I was really hoping to get one before I saw it.
I don't know. It's
It looks-
considered to some to be so ugly, it's beautiful.
Ha.
That's probably true.
It looks like a news van, but in space.
That's
That is
f***ing fantastic. That is so true.
The best way to remain inconspicuous, right? Just set it up to look like a news van.
Yeah.
Nobody will look there.
I have CBN on the side of it.
It's official. I'm not even going to Mali about this. The Herald's now the new official CDN van.
We'll have to get one, that's for sure.
So there you go, Hanson. There's your excuse to get one.
I kind of think it's cool that they're affiliated with the crime families. Kind of like brings that whole mobster type of feel to the company.
Yeah, see.
My last word on Drake Enterprises is Anvil Aerospace.
Oh, get the hell out of here, your f***ing Anvil Aerospace. Robert Space in the streets with a win.
And actually now I'm wondering, does anybody know the inspirations for the Cutlass, the Caterpillar, or the Herald?
Herald is the news van.
Well, right, aside from that.
I think I might with the Cutlass, but I'll have to do a bit of research.
Well, throw it out there. I mean, we can hypothesize here.
What's the U.S. aircraft that has the engines that they rotate upwards, so it turns into a bit of like a helicopter?
That actually
The-
isn't a...
the Osprey.
Say again?
Yeah, Osprey.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, Osprey, but there's also the Harrier, which is a British aircraft, and the Pegasus engine, the nozzle rotates.
But he was
But,
talking about the one that actually turns it into a rotor aircraft.
Yeah. Yeah, but we didn't cover the Cutlass commercial. Yeah.
Very sexy.
Yeah, and the thing is that it was a very different tack from what I thought the Drake Interplanetary voice would be, and two, from all the others. So each of the manufacturers seems to have its own voice, at least for now. The origin is very much like the BMW route of a little bit of piano, a single guy's voice saying this is awesome.
What is
Blah, blah.
speed?
Right, exactly. Anvil Aerospace is rah. The MISC, that commercial was that fantastic truck commercial. So it's like they were all kind of selling the product, whereas the Drake, it almost seemed to be selling the Drake ethos of a little bit of panache, a little bit of style, a little bit of flamboyance, and the fact that they went with with a freaking tango for the music, that is a severe jump from the other stuff. It was a really interesting and boundary-pushing commercial.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm not sure if this is what I had in mind when I first said this.
All right, let's move along here. Now, we do have some exciting news that we found out yesterday. We have found the rightful heir to the Hawaiian Kingdom. And he is Mr. Prime Legion over here.
At the moment, I'm doing the the Queen wave right now.
Yeah. Now, to explain, so there we were yesterday just hanging out in our general chat. And if you're a member of the USC, feel free to, get on our team speak and just hang out in the general chat and talk with your friends, because this is how magic like this happens. So somehow we got to talking genealogy or random factoids or whatever. And Prime lets loose that, yeah, he is related to, it was the last Governor General of Hawaii before it became a U.S. territory.
Last royal governor of Oahu.
Right, and that was, that was through marriage, and he's related to the offspring of that marriage. So therefore, Prime has a quote-unquote legitimate claim to the throne of Hawaii, defender of the realm and protector of the one true faith.
Which is Star Citizen.
The space gods smile on you.
We made Ogi the royal scribe, and they made me the commander of the guard. So, the kingdom of Hawaii is coming back.
So when we were going over this in the lounge, Apollo, who is one of the new guys, he comes on in and he's like, I have no fucking idea what you guys are talking about. I felt bad for the poor guy.
Yeah, he ended up leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things we want to start doing on the podcast, starting on this one, is we want to start welcoming all of our new members to the USC. Our 8 new members, we have Zinnier, Emil, Apollo, Zini, Chico, Zavi Zondo, Chris/Gorge Fodder, and Marty Mike.
Yes, welcome all. And for Apollo specifically, please come back. Really, we're not insane all the time. Well, maybe we are.
No.
I'm pretty sure I'm a little crazy all the time.
Right. The only other thing that's USC newsworthy is a recent change in the structure of the Defense Force. Before, we had OpCom right under the Admiral, and then off of that sprang SciCom and StatCom, which were defense and offense related. The reorganization that we had is to rebrand, essentially, StatCom and SciCom to be Fleet Ops and Marine Ops, MAROps. I don't remember which one turned to which one, and then get lifted up. So now the 4 branches underneath the Defense Force are OpCom, which is responsible for personnel management, logistics, things of that nature. Fleet Ops, which is responsible for fleet operations. MAROps, which is responsible for all the ground pounders. And TRACOM, which is responsible for training and doctrine.
I think, for clarification, it's not MAROps or Fleet Ops, it's MARCOM and FleetCom.
Oh, is it MARCOM and FleetCom?
Yeah, because I think I put up a fight where I was like, look, it's either going to be Flops and Mops or FleetCom and MARCOM.
Fair enough. I kind of liked Flops and Mops, by the way.
I did too.
I would like to add for everyone who's interested in getting training from the USC, I did get my diplomatic negotiation license from TRICOM. Guns were involved.
No, yeah, I'm sure. All right, to wrap things up, I want to thank everybody for listening to our 12th podcast. We will be recording in 2 weeks, and I also want to encourage everybody to like and subscribe on this video and the USC channel, respectively. Check out our website at UnitedSpaceConfederation.com or our forums at UnitedSpaceConfederation.engine.com. We also have a TeamSpeak server that people can feel free to hop on, and we also encourage all of our members to hop on the server, talk with everybody, so we can have great discoveries like we had with Mr. Cleghorn over here. I want to encourage everybody to follow me on Twitter and YouTube at Lyoko222. It's LYOKO222. Once again, I have a Tumblr. I never fucking use it, but hey, I have one. Anybody else have anything?
If you know anyone that lives in Australia and New Zealand, or mainly Oceania in general, please encourage them to join the USC. I'm trying to recruit more oceanic people because of the time zone difference. So yeah, bring them in if you know them.
Someone's feeling a little lonely out there in the middle of the
Well, no,
ocean.
I mean, it brings us a serious strategic advantage that, if we get a strong following in Oceania, we can do ops around the clock, and whenever you feel like logging in. If you have insomnia and wake up at 2 in the morning your local time, you're gonna have friends on. That's awesome.
Totally agree. And Ogie, please, next time you open up your dictionary, please look up the word sarcasm.
Hate you.
Ogie, bad Ogie. We're wrapping up. No more discussions. Bad Ogie.
All right. I'd like to add one final thing to all of this, and that is simply anybody interested in working with the Ministry of Diplomacy and Outreach on productions like this, or talking with other groups, any kind of public relations, media production, anything like that, or any female gamers who want to join the USC in general, come see either myself, Hanson, Vampire, or Mally.
All right. We'll see you next week and see you around the verse. I stole your catchphrase, Ogie.